Warm your heart and soul with 2 spiked holiday adult beverages today. Moonshine Place Kitchen. Welcome to the Moonshine Place Kitchen. Today we have a really special treat for you. We're back out in the bar. We're going to do some holiday drinks, some holiday treats. We're going to do a bourbon spiked apple cider and an Irish coffee. 2 great drinks with the holidays coming up. They're both hot drinks, special for you people who are going to be in the hot weather. It'll fill your belly and warm the cockles of your heart. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the bourbon spiked cider right away. So we're going to start with 2.5 cups of quality apple cider, okay? So what we have here is we've been drinking a lot of this apple cider here from Seneca, New York. Here in Florida, we've been getting it. So I'll get a little heat up on this, this little stove here. And we're gonna put 2.5 cups of that right in. It's pretty good quality, okay? And to that, we're gonna take a half an orange. We're going to squeeze a half an orange into that, get some juice going. Now you can go ahead and use some orange zest if you'd like, but there's plenty of juice that's going to come out of a half an orange. And then what I'm going to do is what's left over to that orange is I'm going to go ahead and just cut it up into slices and stick it right in there to cook. We're going to be cooking this, once it boils, we're going to be cooking this roughly about 10 minutes or so, letting it simmer. Okay? So we got a half an orange in there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a half an apple. And that, we'll go ahead and we'll go slice that right up into pieces right away. The apple will soften and we'll get more essence, more apple flavor and essence right in there from the apple. Okay? I don't know how long that's going to take. Now, we've got 1 teaspoon of chives. That's going to go in. We've got a teaspoon of anise. Now this is from Brazil, so it's actually called erva doce. If I'm saying it wrong, don't hang me. But it's anise. Anise is a spice that I haven't used a lot, but it has a beautiful fragrance to it. And perhaps in the comments, if you've used this before, you can let me know what else you're using it for. But this is an absolutely excellent fragrant spice, and we're going to stick that right in there. Okay. Also, we've got 1 teaspoon of pure cane sugar. Okay, and that's going to go in. So, we're going to go ahead and bring that right up to a boil. Like I said, we're going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes. It's going to reduce down. It won't reduce quite to about half, but basically what we're making is enough to make 2 drinks. We're only going to make 1 drink today. Don't go away. Come on back because this is going to go quick today. See you in a minute. Welcome back, welcome back. One thing I forgot to say before the break is you have to add a half a stick of cinnamon stick, a half a cinnamon stick. I did that as soon as we went to break. Inevitably, I'm going to forget something now and again. Comes with age. What am I going to tell you? Anyway, we've been boiling along here on a medium boil here for a better part of 10, 12 minutes. If you hear some background noise, it's raining today, which is something we need in Florida. It's been a little bit light on rain the last month or two, so it's a welcome thing to have some of that rain. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this sucker strained. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and strain that right through into a measuring cup. And boy, the smell is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Okay? So there you go. That part of it's done. Now it gets really simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take another orange, which I've sliced. We're going to run that orange around the rim a little bit. Get some juice on there. Stick it in a bowl of sugar and just coat the top of the glass with sugar, as you see. All right? Then we're going to use our bourbon of choice. This is our bourbon of choice. It's Woodford Reserve Double Oak. This is really, really expensive bourbon. I do use this in old fashions, but I usually like to drink this, use this bourbon straight up. No ice, no anything. It's just a sipping bourbon. But it really, really makes a difference to have this bourbon in this drink. I've tried it with cheaper bourbons, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're going to go ahead with 2 ounces of that. We'll pour that right in. There we go. Oh, the smell. I've really become a connoisseur of bourbon, especially this. Okay? So we'll put that back. We're going to go ahead and pour our hot cider right in there. Bring that right up. Not quite to the sugar line. Okay? And then we're going to mix that up a little bit. Make sure that gets a nice little mix. We're going to stick an additional cinnamon stick in there for a little decoration. Another slice of orange. And we're going to slice up an apple, a little apple slice here. Let me get a fresh one. All right, so a little slice of apple. We'll get that in there. Oops, let me get another one. Let me get another one. There we go. Okay. And there you have it, folks. Step right up to the bar. You have your beautiful bourbon spiked apple cider. Bourbon spiked apple cider. Now that's a beautiful thing. Come on up, sit down, have a drink, and tell me your problems. I'm here for you. Don't go away, because we're going to be coming back right away with our Irish coffee that I learned from an Irishman at 3:30 in the morning, maybe 4 in the morning, several years ago at a trade show. I'll tell you the story in a minute. Don't go away. Moonshine Place Productions produces several shows on YouTube, including the popular Moonshine Place Kitchen, restaurant reviews and other shorts, full-length documentaries and docuseries, a look at wildlife in neutral Melbourne Wild Kingdom, Moonshine Place Productions, a rising beacon of light. Welcome back. Before we went to break, I mentioned something about a story, how I learned how to make Irish coffee. I'm the furthest thing from being Irish that you can imagine. However, I love the Irish people. One time I was at a convention out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'd gone out with the guys after the convention, right? We went to dinner and we went for drinks or whatever, and it was late. When I got back to the hotel, there was a rat skeller underneath that had a little bar in it. Went down, door was locked, the barkeep was cleaning up, and he was an old-time barkeep, an old English guy, Irish guy, sorry, an old Irish guy. The tie inside the jacket, the whole 9 yards, like inside the shirt, the whole 9 yards, white shirt. Anyway, I banged on the door. He said, go away. Banged on it again. He came over and he said, you know, what can I do for you? I said, listen, can I get a nightcap or something before I go to bed? And he said, I'll tell you what, come on in. He locked the door behind me. And basically he said, you're going to make the drink, not me, and you're going to make it for both of us. Well, needless to say, he taught me how to make an Irish coffee the right way. And it doesn't involve Kahlua, I'll tell you that straight up. But he taught me how to make it the right way, and him and I actually watched the sun come up that morning. We stayed up drinking Irish coffees, one of the best nights of my life. Let's get to it. So we're going to start by making our coffee first, and you have to start with whole bean. And I have a large assortment of beans that I'm going to mix together to get a flavor. Let's get grinding. Okay, so what we're going to start with is each one of these spoons is 2 tablespoons. We're making 8 cups of coffee. So we're going to start with a little bit of hazelnut. So that's 1 scoop of hazelnut, 1 scoop of creamy French vanilla. Now keep in mind, this is all going to go together and make quite an interesting flavor. Then I have, it's almost an espresso level of bean from Brazil that I go right to the ranch and get, right to the farm and get. You can use espresso in place of this. It's a very, very strong coffee. So there's 1 spoon of that, a spoon of French roast, which gives it a little bit more of a burnt flavor, adds a little bit of a burnt flavor. okay? And some 8 o'clock coffee, all right? So the 8 o'clock coffee, which is an excellent coffee, we're gonna go with 2 scoops of that. That really gives us a nice basis for all of our flavors. So there you go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grind that up relatively fine, okay? And we're gonna percolate. If you've been with me before, we made a coffee martini a month or 2 ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I couldn't stress enough how much percolating, for me, is the way to go, okay? So you wanna get it kind of fine, okay? And normally what I do before I pull the lid off is I unplug it so that it doesn't go off on its own. I've had that happen once or twice and coffee goes everywhere. So into the percolator, that's gonna go. Get that right in there. All right, we'll get the cover on that. We'll get that plugged in. We'll get that percolating. Don't go away, come right back because we're gonna start with the whipped cream that we're gonna use. We're gonna make the whipped cream from scratch. It matters, this all matters if you want this sucker to taste good. Don't go away, this is gonna be good stuff for your party coming up, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. Stick with us. And we're back, okay. We got the KitchenAid out ready to make the whipped cream. What you must know is I took the bowl and the beater and I had it in the freezer, so that's pretty well cold. It's starting to sweat out right now because we're outside, obviously. So we're going to start with 1 full pint of heavy whipping cream. So here it is now. We're going to get that right in there, okay? Get that in. Okay, and to that, we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. What the cream of tartar will do is it'll help keep the shape of the whipped cream once it's whipped up. So just put a little bit of that in, a 1/4 teaspoon of that, and that'll help keep the shape. You can use cream of tartar with egg whites as well when you're doing a meringue. It really, really helps to get these things to keep their shape, all right? Then we're gonna go with 1 teaspoon of Island vanilla. Now this one is from St. Thomas. My favorite is actually from Jamaica. We're out of the Jamaican vanilla, so that warrants a trip back to Jamaica just to get the vanilla. But I have found that the vanilla that comes from the islands is by far the best vanilla in the world. Somebody would have to prove me different on that, okay? So we're gonna go with 1 teaspoon of vanilla. In that goes. All right. And 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. So in that's gonna go. 2 full tablespoons of powdered sugar, and that makes a mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and whip this up nice and easy first until she starts to go. Want to make sure we don't get powdered sugar everywhere in the world. Okay, while that's going, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start to work with our whiskey. Now, my whiskey of choice for this would be Jameson. Jameson is the best whiskey to make an Irish, coffee. However, I have some Redbreast in the house, and I've been sipping this along a little bit along the way and using it for different drinks. And this Redbreast has a nice little bouquet flavor, so we're going to go ahead and try that. It will be the first time I've ever used this Redbreast for an Irish coffee. So we're going to go ahead and use 2 ounces of Redbreast and put that right in. All right, so there's our 2 ounces. Let me check on my whipped cream. I think we can turn that up a little bit more now. Get that spinning. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 tablespoon of cane sugar, 1 level tablespoon, and put that right in the whiskey, okay? And we're going to mix that. We're going to mix that sugar in the whiskey. What we want to do is we want to break down that a little bit of harshness flavor in the whiskey. And what I was told is this sort of redistills the whiskey a little bit. We want to really break that sugar down. So you want to mix it for a few minutes. Now when you go out for dinner and you ask for an Irish coffee, it's fairly unlikely they're going to sit there and work on an Irish coffee quite like this. Our whipped cream is moving along very nicely. So, tell you what we're going to do. Just hang in there. This whipped cream is going to take about another minute or two, but I'm not going to waste your time with that. We're going to cut off. We'll cut right back. Just hang in there, and we'll have our whipped cream ready, and we'll go to the next step. Hang in there. All right, here we are. Our whipped cream is ready. I've already filled the bag, a pastry bag with a little bit of whipped cream, which we're going to use in a second. Our whiskey is pretty well dissolved with the sugar. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of coffee. Now, there's a little bit of science in this. So there we go. We got a little coffee in there. We're going to mix that up a little bit. It kind of matters that you do it like this. I know you're saying, well, does it really matter? Well, yeah, it sort of really matters that you do it like this, okay? Then we're going to add a little bit of whipped cream in there just to lighten up that coffee before we go any further. It serves to lighten it and fluff up the drink a little bit. It gives it a little bit of body, okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to put a little bit more whipped cream in there. All right. That looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more coffee. That's looking really good. Okay. Now here's our bag of whipped cream. We're going to go ahead and add a little bit of whipped cream on the top. Okay, there we go. And, of course, a little bit of chocolate. Now, obviously, if you don't like chocolate, which is a rarity, you don't want to put the chocolate on. But there you go. There you go, folks. Beautiful. Irish coffee. Can't go wrong. All set for the holidays. We want to thank you once again for joining us on the Moonshine Place Kitchen, and we look forward to serving you again.